Hey everybody, YouTube, Mr. Sally here, and yep, finally doing a video for October-Thon. Yeah, I missed it a week of making it, but that's what happens when you're working in college now. You get set back from doing something. But all my college work is finished, nothing to worry about. So that means we could do early but late start to October-Thon. And I did mention in my other video that this will be very different because we're going to be talking about movies instead of games. Yeah, this is something that I created and hopefully it does well because there's lots of stuff I want to talk about. So we are going to be talking about Malignant. And I just want to tell you just how crazy this film is. Well, no, really, this film is just insane. Malignant, directed by James Wan, starring Annabelle Wallis, George Young, and Nicole Brenna White. The overall story of the movie is that Madison is paralyzed by shocking visions of grisly murders, and her torment worsens as she discovers that these awakening dreams are actually, in fact, terrifying realities. The movie begins with a hospital as we see this sort of weird-looking person, which is Gabriel. And we see one of the scientists restraining this weird sort of alien morphic creature down. And then we see like this little tile sequence that really just screams 2000s to me because that's what it feels like. It feels like something from the 2000s. Not to mention that it's from the same guy that gave us Saw and everything else. So, yeah, that explains it. So we then see a person named Madison, which is played by Annabelle Wallis. She has a husband, which is quite alcoholic abuser to her. But then suddenly her husband gets killed by this unknown strange figure. So she gets knocked out, sent to the hospital, and that is when she knows that since she was pregnant, her child was unborn. So she never had a baby. And after that, the house starts to get strange. I mean, she starts to know this figure a lot. And it keeps creeping up on her, and then it just creeps her out. And then her realities of seeing this figure all throughout the movie just really comes into play with the real world because the cops also witness it after the killings are done. And that is when we see how things are just gone a lot worse, and the story really gets really lost in there. Like, I got lost with it with like the next hour or so, but ever since the ending came, that's when it just picked up rapidly. It all comes full circle at the very end. You know, it kind of waits about like an hour or so, and then the last 30 minutes of the movie, it just really goes into overdrive. So with that said, all throughout the movie is just her trying to find out who Gabriel is, and all the police thinking that it's her, which it kind of wasn't, but it is. And then she gets locked up because they found some of Gabriel's equipment in her apartment or house in the attic with a woman trapped in there. So they take her to jail, and that is when we find out who Gabriel really is. And as it turns out, Gabriel is not some serial killer or imaginary friend. Gabriel is actually a parasitic twin. A parasitic twin born from birth. So what it really means is that Madison was born with this parasite on her body when she was born. Now, her mother, which was raped by a little girl, she was supposed to be born with 2 kids, but the unborn twin was attached to her body. So when she was at the hospital, they decided to cut all of Gabriel's arms off and suppress his head into her brain. And when she transforms into her killing mode, her arms twist, her head opens up to reveal Gabriel, and then she just goes on a rampage, killing every woman in that locker. And it's crazy. And you can really see that they use some of the cinematography from Aquaman. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love James Wan's photography in Aquaman. It was unbelievable, and it really does show up in this movie. And then after that, it just goes crazy and crazy and crazy. I mean, the ending was really fun. It went out of nowhere, and it was just crazy good fun. And all that, it just really explains how it's been happening, and the catalyst for this sort of thing was that her abusive husband slammed her head on the wall, and that's what woke Gabriel up from her mind. And then we also noticed is that her unborn child was Gabriel as well, because he was feeding off of that energy so that he could build up again. So the fight scene happens in the police room and also at the hospital where the woman is being kept from the attic, which we later find out it's actually Madison's real mother, the one that got pregnant and then unbirthed an unborn child with a born child. So they have their fight scene there, and she manages to control Gabriel once and for all by locking him in her own mind. And that's it. I know it's a short and sweet, but I just like to keep it short and sweet, just like not drawing out that much. This is by far one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I mean, I know I'm gushing over it, but trust me, I'm a huge sucker for sci-fi horror movies. This may be one of my favorite movies from James Wan I've ever seen. Probably even way better than The Conjuring and Saw. I mean, hey, it's just my opinion. So, would I recommend this movie? Yes, I would recommend this movie to any horror fan or just a casual moviegoer. This may be one of my favorite films of the year. I mean, I know that's kind of early to say because we only got 2 months left. So we only got Ghostbusters Afterlife and Spider-Man No Way Home and all other stuff. Those are being saved for now, but for this movie right here will definitely be on my list. Final verdict, I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. Just a 7. It's really good, kind of slow at the beginning, but gets really good at the end. So that's my short little review of James Wan's *Malignant*. Tell me what you thought about it below. And as always, stay tuned for more October-Thon because it's just beginning. 1 week late. Yeah. See you all in the next video. Bye.